Liverpool and Man City treat fans to a Premier League classic. Unbeaten runs across Europe are ended, the pressure mounts for Barcelona, a transfer roundup, and this week's Emoji Mondays, all coming up on today's OneFootball Daily News. As I'm your host Angelina Kelly, let's get into it. So yesterday we of course saw an intense battle at Anfield between Liverpool and Manchester City in what was arguably the best game of the Premier League so far. You could say that 2-2 was a fair result as neither team did really deserve to lose and it could have gone either way. The first half saw City arrive at Anfield and completely control and dominate the game, much like they did in their Chelsea game. Unfortunately for them, they did have quite a few wasted chances. They could have easily gone ahead in that first half and ultimately they were punished for it, as in the second half we saw a Liverpool team completely transformed. They provided us with some energy in that second half that they looked incapable of producing in that first half, and they ultimately showed great resilience. Now, there was a number of impressive individual performances that I have got to mention. Of course, Mo Salah. Not only did he provide Sadio Mane with a great assist, but of course that 76-minute goal, which was completely and utterly world-class. No wonder Liverpool fans are crying out for him to sign a new contract. Then there was Phil Foden. He gave James Milner an absolutely torrid time. He looked great. And then, of course, there was Rodri with that defensive clearance, which ultimately saved that point for Manchester City. For the neutrals watching this game, it was a brilliant game of football. And you know what? There are so many cliches now that the Premier League is the best league in Europe, if not the world. And when you see displays like these, it is really hard to actually disagree with those statements. There wasn't really much that could separate Liverpool and Manchester City. By the end of the season, something will separate them, but it's going to be a very, very tight race indeed. And one thing that perhaps could separate them is Harry Kane, as according to the Manchester Evening News, there are fresh reports that Manchester City will try once again to sign Harry Kane. Of course, the player hasn't had the best start to the season with Tottenham. He's failed to actually score a Premier League goal yet, which is pretty unheard of for Kane. And now, according to these reports, Manchester City may have the opportunity to try and get the player again in the winter, as Spurs could reportedly be a little bit more open to selling the player and of course spending their money elsewhere. However, if Kane manages to find his form, which I'm pretty sure he will do, I feel like Spurs will just put their foot down again. So I'm not too sure if I can 100% see this swoop happening in January. Now, over the weekend across Europe, there were a lot of what you could perhaps describe as humbling experiences for the likes of PSG, Bayern Munich and Ajax, as these teams, alongside Real Madrid and Barcelona in La Liga, saw their unbeaten league runs come to an end. So first up in the Bundesliga, and leaders Bayern Munich suffered their first home defeat since November 2019 as they lost to Eintracht Frankfurt, who managed to score a late winner at the Allianz Arena. Now, never fear, as of course Bayern Munich are still at the top of the table, but Julian Nagelsmann and his men will be kicking themselves as this ends their amazing 30-game unbeaten streak. However, credit where credit's due to Frankfurt. They had some great spells and they have Kevin Trapp to thank for this victory, as he was on absolute fire. He was in great form and had a huge impact on this game. Not only did he manage to save a Robert Lewandowski header 10 minutes into the second half, he also managed to save attempts from the likes of Serge Gnabry, Leroy Sané, and like I say, was a key figure in this game that saw Eintracht Frankfurt win their first game against Bayern Munich away from home since November 2000. In France, and a victory for PSG over Rennes at the weekend would have taken them 9 points clear at the top of the league. However, they actually ended up losing the game 2-0. Now, it wasn't just the loss, but it was the fact that not a single shot on target was recorded. And Mbappe, Neymar and Lionel Messi were all featured in this game. Now, of course, PSG is still at the top of the table, but when you see arguably the best front three in world football fail to find the back of the net in a game like this, it is a little bit worrying. Over in the Eredivisie, and defending champions Ajax had won 6 of their 7 outings so far in the season. However, they actually suffered a 1-0 defeat over the weekend. The opposition managed to find the back of the net just 13 minutes before the end of the game, and despite Ajax having 69% of the possession, 20 shots at goal, it simply wasn't their night and they were punished for a slow start to their game. And over in Spain, just a few days after Real Madrid's embarrassing defeat to Sheriff in the Champions League, their 25-match unbeaten run in La Liga came to an end at the hands of Espanyol as they lost 2-0 over the weekend. Their midfield wasn't looking great. Toni Kroos and Luka Modric did not have the best game. It seems like Eduardo Camavinga could be injured as well, with Carlo Ancelotti describing it as the worst match of their season and has called his team's attitude into question. And then, of course, things have not got better for Barcelona as they suffered their first La Liga defeat at the hands of Atletico Madrid, who got a comfortable 2-0 victory over them. Next up, and looking at Barcelona, the pressure is certainly mounting for Ronald Koeman and the club, as of course they lost that game to Atletico Madrid. Now, talking about Atletico for a moment, it was a very comfortable win. They looked very strong. Of course, there were some great performances from João Felix and Thomas Lemar, who not only managed to find the back of the net, but created a great assist for Luis Suarez. And for the manager Koeman, things are not looking good. Now, if Koeman should depart, according to El Nacional, Barcelona have already eyed up his replacement in Ajax's manager, Erik ten Hag. According to the report, Barcelona are already considering an agreement with the manager in principle for him to join the side in June 2022. And should this happen, the manager reportedly has 5 players that he would like to see at the new camp and quite a few players hitting the exit door. Now, regarding the incomings, 1 or 2 former Ajax players, we've got Matthijs de Ligt from Juventus, a no-brainer, a great defender, especially considering how young he actually is. Then you have Donny van de Beek, who is at Manchester United and is desperately seemingly searching for an exit from the club. Then you have Ryan Gravenberch, who currently plays for Ajax. You also have Dani Olmo from RB Leipzig, who has been impressing. And then there is Erling Haaland, because at the end of the day, what club does not want Erling Haaland? All of them sound like great signings for Barcelona, but they could definitely not be completed in one transfer window. And you also have to question if Barcelona would actually have the funds for all of these players. And then you've got the outgoings that would definitely free up some cash. You've got Samuel Umtiti, then there's Luuk de Jong, only just arrived at the club, but at the end of the day, is he going to score you that match-winning goal? I'm not too sure. Then you have Martin Braithwaite, and then you've got Felipe Coutinho, one of their most costly players, and I think it's been a long time coming for him to depart from Barcelona. And you also have out of form, out of favour Clement Lenglet. In addition, there have been rumours that the likes of Jordi Alba, Sergio Busquets and Sergio Roberto could all be departing. Now, if these happen, like I say, it would free up a lot of money, but would it free up the amount of money it would take to bring in players like Matthijs de Ligt and Erling Haaland? I really don't think so. However, depending on whatever signings happen, bringing in a manager like Ten Hag could have a really good impact. Some people could argue that he's only proven in the Dutch league, but he has won titles in that league. And in addition, he has given Ajax a really good run in the Champions League. So perhaps this could be the manager that Barcelona need in order to rebuild for life after, of course, this financial issue and the departure of Lionel Messi. And now we have a transfer roundup. This is where I take a look at some of the other news and transfers going on in the footballing world. And first up, Manchester City are reportedly interested in Barcelona's teenager Nico Gonzalez. Meanwhile, for Watford, it seems like they already have a new manager in 69-year-old Italian Claudio Ranieri. Real Madrid are reportedly considering a swoop for Leicester City's Yuri Tielemans as they consider him a potential replacement long-term for Casemiro. And finally, rather than waiting for Andre Onana to become a free agent in June, Inter Milan are reportedly willing to pay a small fee to Ajax to bring the player to the club in January. And now we have Friday feels. Of course, on Friday's Daily News, you guys gave us your predictions for the weekend's fixtures in the comment section. So now let's read out some of the correct predictions. Yossi Slonin predicted correctly that Liverpool against Manchester City would end in a 2-2 draw. Sarwin Sukumaran predicted that Luis Suarez would be on the score sheet for Atletico Madrid when they face Barcelona. And Bryce Clay predicted correctly that AC Milan would take all 3 points from Atalanta. And now we have Emoji Mondays. This is where I stick a few emojis on some of the weekend's action. And first up, we have got best goal. I've debated this one, but I have got to go with Mo Salah's goal. It was absolutely world class. I don't think I need to even say anything as to why I've put this as my best goal of the weekend. It was absolutely sublime. And for best win, I've actually gone for Brentford's 2-1 victory over West Ham. Now, you can argue that maybe this wasn't the best game, but for me personally, it just cemented exactly why Brentford have been a brilliant promoted side. They're now in 7th, and to get that win was a pretty big deal. And for worst moment, I've gone with Francesco Acerbi's red card in the Lazio game against Bologna. For Lazio, it was just the icing on top of a miserable day as they lost 3-0 and are now 7th in the league. So that's it for today's OneFootball Daily News. As always, check out all the other content that we've got here, and until next time, I will see you all later.